Imagine being an ordinary airline pilot who is secretly recruited by the CIA, but instead of only spying for the government, you begin smuggling cocaine for Pablo Escobar, delivering weapons to rebels, and earning more money than you can possibly hide. At first, Barry Seal believes he has created the perfect life because the CIA protects him, the cartel pays him, and every dangerous mission makes him richer. But soon the DEA, FBI, and police are all searching for him, while the same government that hired him begins erasing every connection to his operation. Barry thinks he is playing both sides, but when the CIA abandons him and the cartel discovers his betrayal, he realizes that all his planes, money, and secrets cannot give him a safe way out. The story begins in 1978, when Barry works as a commercial pilot for TWA. He has a stable career, a wife named Lucy, and a growing family. But despite having everything an ordinary man could want, Barry is completely bored. Flying passenger planes no longer excites him. Every day feels the same, and he wants something dangerous enough to make him feel alive again. So while working as a respectable airline pilot, Barry secretly earns extra money by smuggling Cuban cigars into the United States. He believes nobody has noticed, but a mysterious man named Monty Schaefer already knows exactly what he is doing. Monty works for the CIA, and instead of arresting Barry, he offers him a secret job. The CIA needs a highly skilled pilot to fly over Central America and secretly photograph military camps, armed groups, and rebel positions. Barry will be given a fast aircraft equipped with powerful cameras, but if he is captured, the American government will deny knowing anything about him. A normal person might refuse such a dangerous offer, but Barry is tired of his normal life, so he accepts immediately, leaves his airline career, and tells Lucy that he is starting a private aviation business. Even though he is now secretly working for the CIA, Barry begins flying low over dangerous territory while soldiers on the ground fire at his aircraft. But instead of becoming frightened, he smiles, laughs, and keeps flying, because for the first time in years, he finally feels alive. Barry proves to be extremely useful, so Monty continues giving him more assignments. First, he takes photographs, then he transports classified information, and soon he is regularly flying between the United States and Central America. But during one of these trips, Barry is taken to Colombia, where he meets members of the Medellin cartel, including Jorge Ochoa and Pablo Escobar. The cartel knows that Barry is an excellent pilot who understands American airspace, and they offer him an enormous amount of money to transport cocaine into the United States. Barry understands the danger immediately. If the American authorities catch him, he could spend the rest of his life in prison, and if he betrays the cartel, they will kill him. But when he sees the amount of money they are offering, his fear quickly disappears, and he agrees to work for them. Barry begins loading cocaine into his aircraft in Colombia and flying it into America. Instead of landing at normal airports, he flies over remote areas and drops the packages from the sky, where cartel workers collect them from the ground. After every successful delivery, Barry receives bags filled with cash, and he soon realizes that one cocaine flight earns him more money than he previously made in an entire year. Barry is now secretly working for two powerful organizations at the same time. On some flights, he gathers intelligence for the CIA, and on other flights, he transports cocaine for the Medellin cartel. The CIA appears to understand that Barry is involved in something illegal, but Monty chooses not to ask too many questions. Because Barry is still useful to the government, the operation becomes larger with every trip, but the DEA soon begins tracking the mysterious planes bringing drugs into the country. During one delivery, government agents chase Barry through the air, and when he realizes he cannot reach a safe runway, he lands his aircraft directly inside a residential neighborhood. The plane crashes through fences and private property before stopping in the middle of the street. Barry jumps out covered in cocaine, gives a large bundle of money to a confused child, steals a bicycle, and escapes before the authorities can arrest him. Barry finds the situation exciting, but Monty knows the government is getting dangerously close, so the CIA suddenly moves Barry and his entire family from Louisiana to the small town of Mina, Arkansas. Barry is given land, aircraft hangars, equipment, and a secret base from which he can continue his operations. Lucy is furious because Barry forces the family to leave their home without giving her a proper explanation, and when she demands to know what is really happening, Barry finally opens one of his bags and shows her more money than she has ever seen. Lucy now understands that her husband is not running a normal aviation company. At first, she is frightened, but the money quickly begins changing their lives. They move into a larger house, buy expensive things, and begin living as though the good times will never end. Barry hires more pilots, purchases additional aircraft, and begins making constant trips between America and Central America. Then Monty gives him an even bigger assignment. The American government wants to secretly support the Nicaraguan Contras, who are fighting against the Sandinista government, and Barry is ordered to transport weapons to them. His planes now carry guns south and return to America filled with cocaine, which means the same aircraft are being used by the CIA, the Medellin cartel, and an armed rebellion. Barry soon discovers that many of the Contra fighters are poorly trained and have little interest in fighting a real war, but nobody seems to care as long as the weapons keep moving and the secret operation continues. Barry keeps flying because every side is paying him, and money begins entering his life faster than he can hide it. His closets are filled with cash, drawers are filled with cash, suitcases are filled with cash, and bags of money are buried throughout his backyard. Barry earns so much that the local banks cannot handle all his deposits, and the small town of Mina becomes unusually wealthy because his pilots and workers are constantly spending enormous amounts of money. Barry has finally achieved the exciting life he always wanted, but his operation has grown so large that it is becoming impossible to hide. The situation becomes even more dangerous when Lucy's irresponsible brother JB arrives at their house. JB has no job, no discipline, and no understanding of the dangerous people surrounding Barry's business. He quickly discovers that Barry is hiding huge amounts of money and begins stealing it. Then he buys expensive things, spends the cash openly, and attracts police attention. Eventually, JB is arrested while carrying a suitcase filled with money. Barry knows that if JB speaks to the authorities, he could expose everything, so Barry arranges his release, gives him money and a plane ticket, and orders him to leave the country. But JB refuses to disappear. He realizes that Barry is afraid of him, so he demands regular payments and threatens to reveal the entire operation if Barry does not cooperate. Barry does not know how to solve the problem, but before he can make a decision, the Medellin cartel solves it for him. JB gets inside his car, starts the engine, and the vehicle suddenly explodes, killing him instantly. Barry watches the burning wreckage and finally understands that his exciting adventure is no longer a game. The cartel knows where he lives, they know who his family members are, and they will murder anyone who becomes inconvenient. JB's arrest and suspicious death bring even more attention to Mina, and soon the FBI, DEA, ATF, and local police are all investigating Barry's operation. At the same time, the political situation begins changing, and the CIA decides that Barry has become too dangerous to protect. Monty arrives without warning, shuts down the operation, removes the government equipment, clears the airfield, and abandons Barry as though their partnership never existed. The protection Barry believed would always save him disappears overnight, and almost immediately, several law enforcement agencies surround him and place him under arrest. The government seizes his aircraft, property, records, and most of his money. And for the first time, Barry appears to have no way out. But during questioning, he reveals that he has worked for the CIA, transported weapons for the American government, dealt directly with the Medellin cartel, and participated in secret missions throughout Central America. Sending Barry to an ordinary public trial could expose several government secrets. So once again, the information inside his head becomes more valuable than the crimes he has committed. Government officials offer him another deal. The White House wants photographic evidence connecting the Medellin cartel with the Sandinista government in Nicaragua, and Barry must return to the same dangerous men he has been smuggling for and secretly photograph them loading cocaine onto an aircraft. If the cartel discovers the hidden cameras, Barry will be killed immediately, but refusing the mission means spending many years in prison. So Barry accepts, returns to Nicaragua, and pretends that he is still completely loyal to the cartel. While hidden cameras inside the aircraft photograph cocaine, cartel members, and government officials standing together, the operation succeeds, and Barry believes he has finally earned his freedom. But then, the American government makes a disastrous decision. Officials publicly release the photographs to create a political scandal, and Barry's face is clearly visible in the images. The same people who promised to protect him have now shown Pablo Escobar and the entire cartel that Barry secretly betrayed them. The cartel immediately realizes what has happened, and Barry becomes a marked man. Despite everything he has done, Barry still avoids a major prison sentence because the government does not want its own involvement exposed. Instead, he receives 1,000 hours of community service, which sounds like an unbelievably light punishment, but it creates a deadly routine. Barry must report to the same Salvation Army building at the same time every evening, meaning anyone who wants to kill him now knows exactly where and when to find him. Barry begins moving between cheap motels and never stays in one place for long. He records videotapes explaining his entire story because he believes he may not survive. Every morning, he carefully checks underneath his car before starting it, terrified that the cartel has planted a bomb like the one that killed JB. He watches every stranger, studies every vehicle, and constantly looks over his shoulder. The pilot, who once laughed while soldiers fired at his aircraft, is now frightened to walk across a parking lot because he finally understands that he has lost protection from every side. The CIA no longer needs him. The government has already received the evidence it wanted. The police still consider him a criminal, and the Medellin cartel wants revenge. Barry once possessed more money than he could find places to hide, But now all that money cannot buy him safety. He cannot trust Monty, cannot depend on the authorities, and cannot run forever because his community service forces him to appear publicly every evening. One night, Barry drives to the Salvation Army building to complete another shift. He parks his car outside and prepares to enter, unaware that cartel assassins are already waiting nearby. The attackers approach before Barry has time to escape and shoot him inside the car. The man who worked for the CIA, transported weapons to rebels, smuggled cocaine for Pablo Escobar, escaped federal agents, and earned millions of dollars dies alone in an ordinary parking lot. After Barry's death, the people who used him continue with their lives. Evidence connecting the CIA to his illegal activities disappears. Monty avoids punishment and continues advancing in his career, and the government finds other ways to support the Contras. Lucy returns to Baton Rouge with the children and begins working an ordinary job to support the family, although she is still wearing an expensive bracelet, suggesting that she managed to keep at least one small piece of Barry's hidden fortune. Barry spent years believing that he was the smartest man in the game. He thought the CIA needed him, the cartel trusted him, and the government would always protect him because he knew too much. But in reality, every powerful organization was only using him. The CIA used his flying skills, the cartel used his access to America, and the government used his evidence. Then, the moment Barry stopped being useful, they left him completely alone. Barry wanted money, danger, and excitement, and for a while, he received more than he could ever imagine. But every successful flight pulled him deeper into a world where loyalty did not exist and protection could disappear overnight. He earned enough money to fill entire rooms, but in the end, none of it could buy him the one thing he needed most: a safe way out. And with Barry finally paying the price for flying between too many dangerous sides, the story comes to an end. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe to Movier for more exciting movie recaps, and tell us in the comments, do you think Barry was a criminal, a government pawn, or both?